how to develop writing skills. In this lesson, you will find advice on what you can do to develop your writing, through focusing on the needs of your readers, and thinking about how your writing, both as a whole piece and in its individual sections, will communicate your original contribution to knowledge. Think about your readers' needs. Whatever you are writing, your aim should be to make your text as clear as possible, to present your ideas clearly and concisely, and to avoid ambiguity or redundancy. Achieving this becomes easier the more you practice writing, and begin to develop confidence in your writing style. If writing is something you are still having problems with, try adopting these very basic rules as you write. Avoid excessively long sentences. Do not use a difficult word, where a simple one will do. Use punctuation correctly, to aid the sense of your writing. Use paragraphs to break your text into logically self-contained units. To guide your readers through your writing, it should include a system of signposts, that is, things that explicitly or implicitly tell the reader what to expect. Signposts that you can use in your thesis are a detailed table of contents, a well-written abstract, an introductory section, or chapter, for the thesis as a whole, an introductory paragraph for each individual section, or chapter, a consistent system of headings and subheadings. Remember that your writing is telling a story, and your original contribution to knowledge in your discipline. It should be clear from the very start what your original contribution to knowledge is, and each section, or chapter, should then help to tell that story. Finally, your readers will expect your writing to be fully and accurately referenced. For more advice, see the lesson on academic referencing and avoiding plagiarism and academic misconduct. Remember basic rules for good written English. It is important that you pay attention to the basic rules for good written English, which include accurate spelling, correct use of grammar, and punctuation. Errors of spelling are best avoided by careful proofreading, and you should never rely simply on your word processor's spell check function. Proofreading is something you should allow time for, as part of your structure for redrafting your work. Do not expect your professor to do your proofreading for you. Grammar and punctuation can be more difficult to get right, particularly if English is not your first language. For more advice, see the lesson on grammar and punctuation, to learn more about the use of colons and semicolons, the use of apostrophes, commas, and etc. Write regularly to develop confidence and quality. Research students are encouraged to start writing early on, in their research degree. Writing, as you go, takes some of the pressure out of your final year, and gives you the opportunity to practice writing, and develop your writing technique. As you enter your final year, and your expected thesis submission date gets closer, regular writing becomes even more important. Students who make a routine out of writing find that it helps them to concentrate on their work, and this helps them to feel more comfortable in putting their thoughts into words. Most students find that in their final year, they need to spend at least some time each day writing their thesis, in order to complete it on time, and many find that keeping office hours for their thesis is a good way of making sure they focus on their writing. Critical writing. One of the skills that regular writing will help you to develop is your ability to write critically, that is, to write in a way that is characterized by a clear and confident refusal to accept the conclusions of other writers, without evaluating the arguments and evidence that they provide. A balanced presentation of reasons why the conclusions of other writers may be accepted, or may need to be treated with caution. A clear presentation of your own evidence and argument, leading to your conclusion. A recognition of the limitations in your own evidence, argument, and conclusion. It is important that you can demonstrate a critical writing style in your thesis. For more advice, see lesson on critical writing. Academic conventions. Whatever discipline you belong to, there will be certain conventions of academic writing. For example, specific modes of phrasing, specific terminology, recognized acronyms or abbreviations, and etc. It is important that you familiarize yourself with these conventions, and the best way to do this is through reading thesis, articles, and other texts in the field. Ask your professor if you are unsure of the specific conventions for academic writing in your discipline. Have a structure for drafting and redrafting. It is important to remember in the early stages of your writing that you are working on a draft, not the finished piece. Keep writing, even if you know that you can do better. Leave the improvements until you come to write the next draft. This will give you time to reflect and think more carefully about anything that you might need to change. Instead of redrafting as you go, why not look to make drafting a process with formal stages and different questions to be addressed at each stage? First redraft, editing for academic rigor. Second redraft, reducing redundancy. Third redraft, editing for consistency. Fourth redraft, signposting and linking. Fifth redraft, proofreading. For more advice, see the lesson on editing. Get feedback on your writing and use it. Getting feedback from your professor as your writing progresses should already be a part of your work plan and your strategy for managing your writing. Your professor may structure their feedback in a way that brings out the positives before going on to talk about any weaknesses. You will need to take a balanced approach. Be pleased with the positives, but take seriously any weaknesses, and listen to and act on any comments your professors might have for you. Your professor will comment on the content of your work, but you can also ask to be given feedback on your writing style and what you could do to develop your writing. Let your professor know that this is something you would appreciate their comments on. Alongside your professor, your friends, particularly students who are senior than you in level, can also be a useful source of feedback and can offer general advice on tone, phrasing, and structure, as well as suggestions on how you might improve your writing. Be realistic about what you can achieve. It is natural to be anxious about the quality of your work, but do not let this stop you from writing, or allow yourself to be caught in the trap of repeatedly revising the same section. Being realistic as to what to expect from your writing will avoid wasting time through worrying, rather than getting on with your thesis. Summary. Remember that you are just starting out as an academic writer. You should not expect, nor will your examiners expect, to see in your work the writing style of an experienced academic writer. You need to keep sight of what is important about your writing style. Do not waste time agonizing over phrasing or your choice of words. Your writing is doing its job if it communicates clearly what you have to say. You can use feedback from your professor and others to reassure yourself that what you are writing is of an appropriate standard. At Talent and Skills Hub, you can be supported by our instructors, academic skills advisors, and mentors for sessions on quality academic writing and study skills. You can book an appointment for one-to-one or group tutoring through our website, tshub.com.